In a bold and strategic maneuver that is set to send waves throughout Southeast Asia and beyond, the Philippines is preparing to unveil an entirely new official map, one that does far more than merely redraw geographical boundaries. This updated cartographic document is designed to convey a powerful and unmistakable message to Beijing, directly challenging China's expansive and often contested territorial claims in the South China Sea. Spearheading this effort is the Philippines National Security Council, which bases its actions firmly on the landmark 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, as well as the principles enshrined in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. The principal objective behind publishing this revised map is to reassert and clearly delineate the Philippine maritime rights in these highly disputed waters, directly countering China's controversial 10-dash line, a boundary that attempts to enclose nearly the entire South China Sea within Beijing's sphere of influence. Officials from the Armed Forces of the Philippines have emphasized that this new map is far more than a simple drawing of boundaries. It is intended to serve as a foundational tool for national security and environmental stewardship. According to Colonel Metal Aguilar, spokesperson for the AFP, the map embodies something deeper than cartography alone. It represents the nation's identity, its heritage, and its sacred duty to protect its sovereignty. Rather than being a mere collection of arbitrary lines and swirls on paper, these waters symbolize the lifeblood of Philippine culture, commerce, and territorial integrity. The updated map aims to safeguard vital marine ecosystems, secure crucial shipping lanes, and bolster the country's national conservation efforts, all while reinforcing the nation's rightful claims. Meanwhile, parallel efforts are underway within the Philippine Senate, where lawmakers are developing their own revised version of the country's official maritime map. This version seeks to clearly and unequivocally define the nation's territorial stakes, encompassing key features such as the Calayan Island Group, the disputed Scarborough Shoal, the Macclesfield Bank, the vast Benham Rise area, and the West Philippine Sea. All these locations fall within the Philippines' 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, EEZ, as recognized by international law. Beyond this demarcation, the waters revert to the broader designation of the South China Sea. This forthcoming government-issued update will mark the first substantial revision to the country's maritime boundaries since the 2016 arbitral ruling that struck down much of China's original 9-dash line, an outdated boundary now controversially expanded to 10 dashes by Beijing. That 2016 International Tribunal ruling was unequivocal. The majority of the contested Spratly Islands fall within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, meaning these waters belong indisputably to the Filipino people. However, the territorial story does not end with the western coastal waters. To the east, Manila succeeded in securing United Nations approval to extend its continental shelf beyond the traditional 200 nautical miles from Luzon Island, opening control over a massive underwater region. This vast expanse, historically known to mariners as Benham Rise, now carries the official name Philippine Rise. It covers an enormous area of approximately 13 million hectares, rich in natural resources and biodiversity. Despite these clear legal victories and extensions, geopolitical tensions remain high and unresolved. In August, Manila issued a firm diplomatic protest after China released an updated standard map, which again boldly claimed almost the entire South China Sea within 10 broad dashes, this time arranged in a pronounced U-shape. This latest cartographic assertion by Beijing encroaches not only on the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, but also infringes on maritime zones claimed by several other Southeast Asian neighbors, including Malaysia, Vietnam, Brunei, and Indonesia. Before the Philippine government makes this updated map public, it must undergo extensive legal and strategic scrutiny to ensure it adheres to international law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea and the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal's decision. Still, government officials stress the critical importance of this step as a necessary countermeasure to China's continued cartographic and territorial assertiveness. Other countries such as India and Taiwan have also publicly rejected China's expansive claims, signaling a broader regional pushback. Why does this matter on a global scale? The dispute transcends a simple quarrel over distant, uninhabited reefs and islands. It concerns control over one of the world's most crucial maritime highways, through which trillions of dollars worth of goods flow annually, connecting economies across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Beneath these contested waters lie vital fishing grounds that support millions of livelihoods, vast untapped reserves of oil and natural gas, and strategically important territories that have significant defense implications. The Philippines' newly proposed map is not merely an administrative document. It is a bold geopolitical declaration and a statement of national sovereignty in a complex and high-stakes global arena. The international community is watching closely. Recently, protests erupted throughout Asia, following China's release of a new version of its official map, which further expanded its territorial claims and drew fresh lines of confrontation across both land and sea. At the heart of these disputes is China's infamous 10-dash line. However, the controversy extends beyond maritime zones. China's updated map also includes disputed land regions far from the South China Sea, including parts of India's Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin regions, as well as sections of Russia's Bolshoi and Ussuriski Islands. Intriguingly, a newly added dash east of Taiwan hints at ambitions that may reach even further into the Pacific. The reaction from neighboring countries has been swift and emphatic. At least 6 nations, including the Philippines, India, Vietnam, and Malaysia, have lodged strong objections. In India, outrage flared as China's map encroached deeply into the Himalayan frontier, reigniting long-standing border disputes. Military analysts have raised alarms about potential Chinese interest in Japan's Ryukyu Islands, further escalating concerns in Tokyo. This complex geopolitical drama dates back several years. In 2016, the Philippines took a historic stand against China's 9-dash line at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague and secured a landmark legal victory. The tribunal ruled decisively that China's extensive maritime claims lacked legal basis under international law. Yet in defiance, Beijing responded by adding a 10th dash and pushing its claims even further. Following China's 2023 release of its updated standard map, the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs promptly rejected the new claims, reaffirming the country's commitment to defending its sovereignty. But Manila's efforts go even further. Behind closed doors, a new national map is in preparation, one that promises to ignite further debate. A particularly bold addition under consideration is the inclusion of Sabah, a territory situated at the northern tip of Borneo Island. Though Sabah is currently administered as part of Malaysia, the Philippines has long maintained a historical claim to the territory, rooted in centuries-old royal treaties and the complex colonial history of the region. To understand this claim, one must travel back to the 15th century when Sabah was part of the Sultanate of Brunei. In 1658, the Sultan of Sulu, having assisted Brunei in a civil war, was rewarded with authority over the northern and eastern parts of Borneo. However, colonial ambitions soon altered the landscape. By the 1700s, British interests had established a foothold. In 1761, British officer Alexander Dalrymple negotiated a treaty with the Sultan of Sulu, facilitating European involvement in the region. Later, in 1878, British agent William Cowie secured a lease agreement from the Sultan, which transferred control of Sabah to private British hands. This arrangement led to the creation of the British North Borneo Chartered Company, which administered the territory with the support of the British Crown. By 1888, North Borneo became a British protectorate, though the company maintained direct control until the Japanese occupation during World War II from 1942 to 1945. After the war, the British reasserted control, turning North Borneo, including Sabah, into a crown colony in 1946. In 1963, Sabah was incorporated into the newly formed Federation of Malaysia. Despite these developments, the Philippines has never formally relinquished its claim. Today, as geopolitical tensions escalate and China presses forward with its own territorial maps, Manila is reminding the international community that its historical narrative is far from settled, and Sabah may once again become a key feature on the country's official maps. This dispute reflects far more than mere lines on paper. It symbolizes contested strategic waterways, cultural legacies, and profound questions about who holds the right to define national identity. As China aggressively expands its territorial claims, other countries in the region are likewise taking up their pens to assert their own boundaries. The coming months could witness a major reshaping of Southeast Asia's geopolitical landscape and alter global perceptions of the South China Sea dispute. Reflecting on history, the Philippines' independence from the United States on July 4, 1946, marked not just the birth of a nation, but the beginning of a protracted era of territorial disputes that persist to this day. Shortly after independence, 7 small islands off the northern coast of Borneo, known collectively as the Turtle Islands, including Cagayan de Tawi-Tawi and the Mangsi Islands, were transferred from British-controlled North Borneo to the Philippines in a straightforward process. However, Sabah, a much larger and more resource-rich territory, remained under British rule. This arrangement lasted until August 31, 1963, when North Borneo, renamed Sabah, was granted self-governance by Britain, paving the way for its inclusion in a new federation called Malaysia. The process, however, was fraught with complexity. Between 1961 and 1963, the British established the Cobbled Commission to gauge public opinion in Sabah and neighboring Sarawak about joining the Malaysian Federation alongside Malaya and Singapore. While the commission found overall support for the merger, dissenting voices existed. Unlike Singapore, where a formal vote was held, no referendum took place in Sabah. Regardless, the merger proceeded. On August 1, 1962, William Goode, the last British governor of North Borneo, signed the agreement for Sabah's entry into Malaysia. The Federation's formal establishment was initially planned for August 31, 1963, but faced delays due to objections from Indonesia and the Philippines. Consequently, Malaysia's formation was postponed until September 16, 1963. Complicating matters further, on September 12, 1962, nearly a year earlier, the heirs of the Sultan of Sulu, once rulers of a vast Muslim empire in the region, officially transferred their rights, title, and authority over Sabah to the Philippine government. This move, carried out under President Diosdado Macapagal's administration, solidified Manila's claim. Central to the debate is the 1878 agreement between the Sultan of Sulu and the British North Borneo Company. The Philippines argues that this agreement constituted a lease, not a sale, meaning sovereignty was never relinquished. Malaysia counters that the deal was permanent and emphasizes that Sabah's residents chose to join Malaysia in 1963, thus closing the matter from their perspective. Nonetheless, the dispute remains unresolved. While Malaysia considers the issue settled, the Philippines continues to assert its claim. Whenever regional tensions flare, the Sabah question resurfaces, much like tides persistently reshaping old shorelines. This dispute is not merely about forgotten treaties or ancient royal signatures. It highlights how the legacies of empires and colonial agreements continue to influence contemporary geopolitics. As nations redraw maps and assert control, Sabah remains a powerful symbol of history's enduring impact. Rewinding even further into history, one of the earliest and most significant maps of the Philippines was crafted by Jesuit priest Pedro Murillo Velarde and published in Manila in 1734. This map was far from ordinary. It was the first scientific and comprehensive charting of the Philippine archipelago and swiftly became a treasured artifact in national history. During this period, the Philippines served as a critical stronghold within the Spanish Empire. Murillo's map not only detailed the islands themselves, but also illustrated the vital sea routes linking Manila with Spain, Mexico, then New Spain, and other parts of the Spanish colonial network. More than a navigational tool, the Murillo Velarde map was a proud declaration of identity and territorial understanding. Its artistic and cultural value was enhanced by 12 elaborate engravings, 6 on each side of the map. 8 of these images depicted the diverse ethnic groups inhabiting the archipelago, while the remaining 4 portrayed key islands and major cities. This map was not merely a geographic record, it was a vivid portrait capturing the spirit, people, and lands of the Philippines. Fast forward to the present day, and those same waters once charted by Murillo have again become the focus of intense international attention. But the stakes are higher than ever before. The Philippines recently issued urgent warnings over environmental destruction in the West Philippine Sea, accusing foreign vessels, widely believed to be Chinese, of causing severe damage to coral reefs. The focus of this destruction is Haodengjiao, a reef located within the disputed South China Sea. Reports from the Philippine Western Command Westcom detail extensive coral harvesting near Rosal Reef in the Scarborough Shoal, close to the island province of Palawan. The environmental toll is devastating. Entire coral ecosystems have been decimated, critical habitats destroyed, and essential lifelines for marine biodiversity, fisheries, and coastal communities wiped out in near silence. While the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs has stopped short of explicitly naming China in its formal response, the message was clear and unmistakable. Manila condemned the persistent presence of foreign vessels engaging in illegal and destructive activities, which blatantly violate the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruling and threaten the ecological and sovereign integrity of the waters. The United States also voiced strong concern. The American ambassador to the Philippines publicly highlighted the growing environmental threats in the region, which are widely attributed to Beijing's aggressive maritime maneuvers. Once a historic crossroads of trade, culture, and exploration, the seas surrounding the Philippines have now become critical front lines in a broader struggle. This conflict is no longer solely about territorial boundaries, but about protecting a living heritage, a vibrant, fragile ecosystem essential for life, identity, and national independence. For the Philippines, the fight extends beyond maps and sovereignty claims. It is a profound call to defend the very heartbeat of the nation, the waters that sustain its people and future generations. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on the evolving story of Southeast Asia and the South China Sea.